Traditional plants are essential to the health and wellness of every Indigenous community. Here in southern Vancouver Island, the camas plant is more than a valuable food resource. As Cheryl Bryce explains, it has both a cultural and social role in Coast Salish communities.
Camas was our role as Lekwammen women to harvest camas, and those were things that went with your family. Your family would be known to harvest these areas or known to harvest plants or certain foods. I've been harvesting since I've been a little girl. My grandma married into Lekwammen. She's Lekwammen, so we would harvest all over the island. All kinds of traditional foods, including camas, which we're here today to talk about. So I've been harvesting even here in Megan, which is known now today as Beacon Hill Park. I guess I was raised just with a lot of our traditional foods, and to me it's really important that it's there for the future. And as Lekwammen, I want to reinstate my role as a Lekwammen in managing these ecosystems, including the Garryoke ecosystems, and encouraging others to do the same, to reinstate their roles and to reinstate the landscape and to reinstate the traditional foods and our right to food sovereignty. Camas is a part of many things. It's a part of who we are. It's a part of our identity as Lekwammen women. It's our interaction and connection to the land, and I think it's important for that, for the identity, but also our well-being, our health. The camas is just one of many of our traditional foods within the Garryoke ecosystem. It's one of the main foods. It was one of the foods that people came from all over, First Nations from up the coast and down the coast, to trade for camas. And it was a huge time to celebrate the food when we would trade. And this was the women's role to do, and it was theirs to trade. When I'm harvesting, I pull back the soil, and I'll harvest the bulbs that I'd like to harvest and put the seeds into the soil, back into the soil when I'm done. It is really depleted over the past 150 years, and it's been encroached by development, lack of management, invasive species. There's a lot of impacts to the Garryoke ecosystem. We would come here really early in the morning, and we would go all over for bark off of the trees, but this was one spot we came because it was getting harder and harder to find certain barks. And so we came here really early in the morning, just before the sunrise, thinking no one would be around, and walking in with knives to strip the bark, just being caught by somebody who was up early jogging. They were totally startled to see these Indian women coming through the park with knives. So that's one of my memories here of Megan. There's some Nootka rose and snowberry. Those are the shrubs that you find usually buffering where camas meadows are, so you could use that for a tea. The struggles that we've went through in this modern time to continually have an ongoing connection to our homelands, but also to our traditional foods. I can imagine my grandma's time and how much that would have been so heartbreaking for her to have to come into places like this and worry about being caught harvesting our traditional food or traditional teas or medicines. Here we go. Here's one, it's pretty small. It looks like it's been split before. See how it has that look like an onion, eh? I guess it was about 10 years ago I started realizing that I need to be more public about what I'm doing and sharing that with not just my family, but other First Nations and non-First Nations. So it was more creating an awareness, going out to the schools, talking about the importance, like it's not just a history, it's not something you read in the museum, it's not something you go and look at. This is who we are. I bring my family here, my nephews, my nieces, I bring them all over our homelands and we harvest. I'm finding more of the younger generation is stepping up and taking more of an interest. Well, it's easy to go to the grocery store and buy some potatoes and onions, and it's a lot easier than going out and managing systems. I think that's a big part of it, is taking on your role in the community as First Nations, as Lekwammen, is really important. And what your family would know and have harvesting places to go, I think it's really important for everyone to ensure that they have that on a regular basis, whether it's harvesting camas or clams or hunting whatever those food resources that their family was known to go and get and to harvest, is important that they maintain those roles and pass that down and protect the areas that they utilize for those food resources. And food, it's part of our food sovereignty, and it's a part of who we are, and it's a part of our future. And I think it's really important that we actively get involved, not only in doing the harvesting, but protecting those sites.
Join us next week when we travel to the west coast of Canada, where we'll meet the Indigenous guardians of the world-famous West Coast Trail.